Given the fact that my bookshelf isn't that gigantic, we can do a bookshelf tour. Alright, obviously, like I said in the last video, since these books changed my life, that's why they're on the top shelf. I'll always have a soft spot for Game of Thrones. Here are different editions of the books that I've written. Obviously, I'll always take pride in these. They're in my bio if you're interested in picking them up. This book right here was one of the first books that I ever remember reading. I'm a wrestling fan. Not the best written book, but I just remember the feeling I got reading this and like doing it to completion and being a fan of Kane, the wrestler, and I don't know, it's just got solid. I've had this since I was a kid. This one belonged to my grandmother, but I'm also a huge Superman fan, so you can see it survived all these years. This I got for my wife as a gift one year. I'm not going to open that up, but it's a 3-year journal. Every day there's a different question, and both you and your significant other answer the questions, and you kind of compare. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the books, but I'll go through ones that, you know. If there's ever another series that I love, it's The Hunger Games. This was another reason I went back to college to get a degree in writing. And yes, I read the books before I watched the movies, just like Game of Thrones. I had a drinking problem at one point. As a romance author, I felt like I needed to read more Nicholas Sparks. I didn't think I was going to like this book, but I really like this book. The first time I was in college, I went to CSI, and I didn't care about college and got kicked out of college. And I got kicked out of college because I was reading this book the entire time. I wasn't paying attention to a word the professor said. This guy's been in like controversies and stuff, but I read this book before he was whatever. I had a very different mindset in my early 20s, so before I went back to college, I didn't care about college and just felt like I needed to do it, you know what I mean? Got a lot of Bibles, because praise God. What to expect when you're expecting. My wife's Bible. She also has regular Bibles too, but you get to. This Simpson book I had as a kid, but when I got evicted, it got thrown out, so I replaced it. I found it on Amazon. I love this book. Anyone who's trying to get into writing or wants to study writing or whatever, this book I read right before I went to college and went back. As far as like writing books go, this one's my favorite. My wife reading about the Bella twins. Right now, as far as like my favorite book goes, I would go, because again, I'm a wrestling fan. This Shawn Michaels biography. This was one of the first biographies I ever read as a kid. It was maybe, again, one of the first books I remember reading. So you can imagine what you feel looking back at. And I've had this since I was a kid as well. Like, I'm 33 now, and books are like one of the few things that I've hung on to throughout my whole life, and I've had a lot of ups and downs. So yeah, that's the bookshelf tour. Now I gotta freaking reorganize it.